Hello again. Welcome back. We're still looking at Microsoft Excel. This time we're going to look specifically at this area down here below the ribbon. This is what we call a sheet. In fact, you see it labeled here, Sheet 1. Kind of the neat thing about Microsoft Excel is that you can make multiple sheets here by clicking this little plus sign right down here. When we click this little plus sign, it will add a sheet. See, I just added. There's sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and this whole Microsoft Excel that we see opened up on our screen becomes a workbook, kind of like a notebook with different pages inside the notebook. So I might have some information on sheet 1, very different information on sheet 2, and yet more different information on sheet 3. Yet when I save this file, they will all get saved together as one file with one name. Okay, so we've got sheets here, and our sheet, we're on sheet 1 now. This sheet is divided by these lines. We've got all these little rectangles on our sheet. And you'll notice I'm clicking over, and there's just all these little rectangles. Well, I'm going to type in a name here because these rectangles actually have a name. They are called a cell, C-E-L-L. That's a cell. That's a cell there. This is a cell here. Oh, here's a cell here. Did you notice that my font size went back being small? Each one of these cells has its own font size and font style that we can add to it. I'm going to get a little creative there. Cell. Oh, you can't see that. Let me make it bigger. Highlight it. Select a bigger font size. And there's that cell that I typed into this one rectangle. The words are kind of out. They look like they were misplaced. Oh, there we go. That looks better. Okay, now let's figure something out about this sheet. Notice there are letters going across the top. They started over here on the left with A, and then we went to B, C, D, E, and as I'm hovering my mouse over each one of these letters, the mouse changes into an arrow that is pointing down. And if I click, notice it's highlighting every one of these cells going down. We call this a column. This is column D. I have D highlighted. If I skip over here to I, see my mouse is on I now, and I click, I have just highlighted column I. I could keep going over and over and over and over and over to the right, all the way to column Z. Now notice when we get to column Z, the columns don't stop. They just start all over with the alphabet, only this time we have two letters put together. AA, AB, AC. We'll go all the way up. Notice I'm skipping off fast. We're going to go all the way up to column AZ, right there. And then it begins again. BA, BB, BC. So we can keep going and going and going and going and going as many columns as we need for whatever kind of file we are creating. You see I'm all the way up to CE, CF, CG. I'm going to go back down to just good old column A. There's column A right there. Now I'm going to take my mouse. I'm going to highlight column A. I've got my mouse sitting on A. It's pointing down. I click. I'm going to come up here and we're going to give it some nice little yellow color. There. We just made column A yellow, going all the way down. Now you'll notice on the left I've got some numbers. The numbers represent this area going across. We call that a row. Okay, so the columns, let's see if we can do this. I'm gonna do something fancy. I'm gonna merge these cells together. I just highlighted from here at the top. I went down to number 14, all in column A, and I'm going to click this little button right here. It says Merge and Center, and I'm going to type this fancy word here so we can kind of remember that. plum. And I'm going to turn the word around a little bit. We get real fancy here. We're going to make the word do like this. I'm going to make it nice and big so we can see it. This is a column. Okay? Now notice the numbers. I've mentioned the numbers a minute ago. The numbers go across like this. And that these are rows. We've got rows going across. Rows. And we number them here on the left. And you see we start at 1. We can go down, 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 down. And just like our columns kept going over with letters, our rows keep going down with numbers. And the higher, further down we go, the higher these numbers become. See, right now I'm at row 334. I highlight that for you. I'm going to give that some paint color. I painted blue. There you go. So we got column A all nice and yellow. No matter how far down I go, A is yellow because I highlighted that whole column. And if we go back to the blue, it doesn't matter how far over I go with my mouse onto this screen, the blue just keeps on going because I highlighted the entire row 334. Okay, so going across, we have rows. Going up and down, we have columns. Now let's come back up to our vocabulary words here at the top. I'm going up to where it says row 1 at the top. There we go, row 1. We've got columns that go up and down. We've got the little cells that are actually just little rectangles. And we have rows going across. And just like I did the column, I'm going to highlight this row. I'm going to merge and center that. I'm going to add a little bit of paint. We're going to add some orange. No, let's add blue again. Blue, we're going to change the letters, color of our letters so we can see it a little bit better. We're going to merge and center just this piece. And I'm going to type this nice and big. I'm going to type the word row. So we've got a column here, rows going across. We've got all these cells. Now notice there's a spot here where the column and the row cross over. They meet. That's the cell. And we can name each one of these cells by the column and the row that it is in. So if we wanted to name this cell right here, notice this is column C, row 5. We could name that. We're going to change that name. We're going to name that cell C5. Okay, and this one right here, we've changed the column, but we're still in the same row. This is still row 5, but it's no longer column C, it's column E. So this would be cell E5. This right here, different column, column D, and different row, row 8. This would be cell D8. And where our fancy little fonts were for cell, that's column F and row 10. So this would be F10. Isn't that pretty cool? We've got a ribbon up here with different tabs of ribbons to do different things to our spreadsheet. We go back to the home ribbon. We have all these buttons that we can do different things to our work here, down here in the sheet. We've got all these cells, all these rows, and all these columns. And we're going to be able to use what we've now learned about rows and columns to put in some data and make this program do some math. So let's continue to video part 3.